Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is promising an inquiry to get to the bottom of Scott Morrison's secret ministerial appointments following yesterday's release of the Solicitor General's advice. It's not clear how it will run or what powers the inquiry will have, but the PM says he wants answers and a plan to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Scott Morrison has highlighted the Solicitor General's finding that his move was valid and says he is willing to assist in any genuine process, as he describes it, to learn the lessons from the pandemic. We'll speak to the Attorney General, Mike Dreyfus, in about 15 minutes. But first, let's go to Henry Belot at Parliament House. Henry, good morning. Big question, I guess, this morning. What are the next steps here?
Well, the first thing the government needs to do, Michael, good morning, is determine the scope and form of this inquiry, and that could take some time. The Prime Minister has already given some hints. Yes, he wants this to find out exactly what happened in these many portfolios, to look at any legal implications, but importantly, to point towards any future reforms that can be introduced to make sure that this doesn't happen and that the public and Parliament are kept aware of who is running which departments. Anthony Albanese says he wants an independent legal expert to run this inquiry, and he's also said that it should be kept separate from any broader investigation into the government's response to the pandemic. There have been, of course, these calls for a royal commission into that very subject. This morning, senior members of the government saying that the pandemic is ongoing and that should be kept for a later date. The Federal Greens, for its part, are calling for any inquiry to have the same powers as a royal commission, although that might not be necessary to deliver what the government wants. And the federal opposition has pledged to work with the government to make sure that there is a more transparent process around this. And of course, Michael, it's not long until politicians come back to Parliament House, where there is the possibility of a censure motion as well for the Prime Minister, or for the former Prime Minister, although Anthony Albanese has not said whether he would support that to date.
And the former Prime Minister has responded to those Solicitor General's findings.
Yes, in a lengthy Facebook post, as he has been doing quite a lot of in recent dates, Scott Morrison noting that the Solicitor General found that these appointments had merit and that there was no clear consensus as to how they should be made public. He also talked again about the emergency nature of the pandemic, stressing that these powers were really just precautionary measures, although to date that has not satisfied many of his colleagues who are clearly upset with this and believe that it should have been made public. He did say in this post, though, that in hindsight there were lessons to be learned from this process and that he was willing to engage in any genuine process to try and further that, although it's not clear at this stage, Michael, what role he would play in any inquiry, if any role at all.
Henry Belot, thank you.